Welcome, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much to all of you that are here online right now. And yeah, thank you to all of you for coming today. I super appreciate that. So today is going to be about what you focus on, you become. But before I get to that, let me back up a little bit and just say who I am and how I got to be here and why I'm here and all of this crazy stuff going on online that you see with all my posts and everything like that. Again, my name is Brad, and I'm just a regular guy, just an ordinary guy, just like everybody everywhere on this planet. And I'm just same as you. I put on my pants one leg at a time. I get up, I eat my breakfast, I brush my teeth, and I go to the day job, and I have all the stresses and all the challenges and all of that, just the same as you and I. But I'm also a guy just trying to live out their dream, live out their passion. And now my dream, my passion is to help so many others out there like you at home, or again, all of you that are sitting here, to live out your dream, to live out your passion, and to give you a lot of the tools, a lot of the skills, a lot of the techniques that you need to do that. And so again, I'm just a regular person, I like to say. And I like to say I'm living this awesome life now. I'm living this incredible life. I get to be here today speaking in front of all of you. I get to be speaking to all of you who are watching at home right now. So again, I super appreciate all of you being here. And it's truly an honor to be able to come here today and to speak with all of you. So again, the topic today, what you focus on, you become. And let me first tell you, why did I choose this topic? And this is a principle, what you focus on, you become, that once you understand this principle in full, is going to direct the clarity of your life, the quality of your life, and even the quantity of your life. Because at the end of the day, we're all here for one reason. And really that reason is to live our best life. That's why I'm here. That's why you're here. We all want to live our best life. And this is a principle, understanding this principle, what you focus on, you become, that's going to help you to do just that. That's going to help you to live your best life. And I know firsthand experience, having lived this principle, that it works in both directions. Of course, we want to focus on everything that we want to have in our life. But a lot of us are going around this crazy game called life. We're focusing on things that we don't want to have. And I'm a classic example of that. For the longest time in my life, I'll share a quick story from my life. For the longest time, I was this overweight, lethargic couch potato. Didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know any of that. And unbeknownst to me at this time, this principle, what you focus on, you become, I was focusing on everything that I did not want to be in my life. At that time, as I just said, I was this overweight, lethargic couch potato, 50 pounds overweight, no direction in my life, no meaning in my life, and no purpose in my life. And I was focusing on everything that I did not want to be in my life. And that's exactly what was showing up in my life. So we'll get more into detail in this, but the things that we focus on in our life are the things that show up in our life. And I remember this very vividly one day. This is, in fact, I even remember the month and the year. This was February of 2013. I'm in the midst of this unfortunately difficult situation, divorce, a very sad situation. But I remember one day very vividly, I'm sitting at home. The house is completely empty now. The girls have moved out. And I've got my little Cocker Spaniel dog there. His name was Lucky, bless his heart. And I'm sitting there, and I had gotten home from work, and I go to the couch, and I sit there on the couch, and I'm really depressed. Life's not working for me. I don't fully grasp this principle of what you focus on, you become. But I put my head down, I remember this, and kind of my arms on my lap here, and I put my head between my legs there a little bit, between my arms, and just super depressed and cried. And I looked up for a moment and I saw my dog Lucky just kind of, sitting over there. And I said, "Lucky, come here, boy. Come here, boy. Come here, Lucky." And he just looked at me. And just this craziest thing, he wouldn't come over to me. Now, this is my best friend. This is man's best friend. And anytime I would call Lucky, again, my Cocker Spaniel, he would always come over to me. But this time, he wouldn't. And he just looked at me and he's like, "Dude, you're a total loser." And it crushed me right here. It devastated me. And he turned around. I still remember this. My dog, he turned around and he went and laid on his bed, which is right in front of the fireplace. He had this nice, big, comfortable bed. I don't know about all of you, but I tend to spoil my dogs. And he just laid there, and then he stared at me, and his ears were perked up. Now, anytime a dog has their ears perked up, you know something's going on. Dogs are really good at sensing energy. And I couldn't quite figure out what was going on, but he knew that something was going on, that I just had this real low energy. And at that moment, this clarity came to me. I looked up, and it hit me that, oh my gosh, up to this point in my life, I had been focusing on everything I didn't want to be, everything that I didn't want to have happen in my life. What was happening in my life? I was an overweight couch potato. I was going through a divorce. I was very stressed out, uptight, all of these things. And this is exactly what I didn't want to have happen. And in that moment, I had this epiphany, if you will. I had this clarity that came to me, which is, again, what I want to share with you today, that who and what you focus on, you become. And that was a moment of great power for me, great clarity for me, because, again, I didn't want to be going through a divorce. I didn't want to be uptight, stressed, all of that. I didn't want to be a couch potato. But again, that's exactly everything that I was. I was this overweight, uptight, lethargic couch potato, and I said, this isn't working for me. And then when I had that clarity, what you focus on, you become, I asked myself, what will work for me? What do I want in my life? Who is the person that I do want to be? And I tell you, that moment of clarity and understanding this principle, what you focus on, you become, that was a game changer. That changed my life around completely, because then it began to give me a direction. It began to give me clarity about who I want to be and where I wanted to go. And the same is going to happen for you. When you begin to focus on exactly what you want for your life and who you want to be in your life, who you want to become, even the things that you want to have, this is going to bring clarity to you. And then this is the pivot point, if you will, that's going to begin to shape your life. That's then going to begin to direct you to having that life that you want to have. Because again, we're all here for that one reason. We're all here to live that very best life possible. That's why we're here. And this is how we can do it. When we understand this principle, who and what you focus on, you become. And so when I talk about this idea of focusing, what do I mean? We have this incredible, powerful supercomputer, if you will. And I call this supercomputer, a lot of people call this supercomputer, your mind. This thing up here, this is one of the most powerful, awesome pieces of instruments that's ever been created. The challenge is we're not using it in a way that supports us. A lot of times, and again, we'll get into this, it's a lack of awareness, and it's even at our subconscious level, we're using this huge, super powerful computer up here in a way that doesn't work for us. And so as a result, we have things coming up in our life, showing up in our life that's not what we want, that doesn't work for us. You know, in my life, again, it was overweight, it was stress, it was anxiety, it was depression, low self-esteem, all of these. Because unbeknownst to me, that's where my mind was going. Okay? There's also an expression that where the mind goes, the energy flows. This is another way of saying what you focus on, you become. And we tend to use our mind or our mind, actually I should say, tends to use us, it has all of these crazy thoughts going on. Okay, this is the monkey mind that I'm talking about. We have this monkey mind operating at 100 miles an hour, and it has thought A, thought B, thought C, thought D, thought E, thought F, thought G, H, I, J, K, all the way through the entire alphabet. It has all of these thoughts going on. I read somewhere upwards of 60,000 thoughts in a single day. That's a lot of thoughts. And even more to that point, a lot of these thoughts are subconscious. We'll get into more of my story here in a little bit, but two of the most subconscious thoughts that I had that I didn't know for a while that were directing the quality of my life, that was causing me to focus on this idea that I am low self-esteem, that I am low self-worth, was the thought that I'm not good enough. And the second thought was that I'm not worthy. And what I've realized over the years of understanding this principle and learning this principle, again, what you focus on, you become, is that more important than our thinking, all of these different thoughts, is one singular thing. That one singular thing becomes our focus. That one singular thing becomes our target. So just like you, for example, you have a bow and arrow, and you aim that arrow, you have that bullseye target right there. You have that bullseye target, and you're aiming that arrow at that target. You know exactly what that bullseye is. You see it, you know what it looks like. That's what we want for our life. And that's what we focus on. And focus is more powerful than thinking. Focus is more powerful than thoughts. In just a moment, I'm also going to talk about this idea of supportive thinking. But in order to have thoughts that are supporting us, we need to have a target. We need to have a focus. Okay? What is our mind focusing on? This does become an awareness. Okay? What our mind is focusing on, again, that creates the quality and the quantity of my life. That creates the quality and quantity of your life. So we need to be very careful and very selective, very specific about that target, about what we are focusing on. To give you a quick metaphor, again, I used the bow and arrow, but another idea. Many years ago, I remember I was learning to drive a boat. Has anyone driven a boat before? Okay, you have, yeah. So one of the tricks that I learned when you're driving a boat is that you pick an object or a target on the horizon. It could be, I don't know, a couple hundred yards away or something, a cell tower or the peak of a hill or something like that. And you pick that target and you aim for that target. And that's exactly what I'm talking about with your life. Because when you pick that target on the hill, you know exactly where to drive the boat. Now, you don't know what's going to come up in between, where your boat is now and that target. Maybe there's a buoy in the water that you have to go around. Maybe there'll be another boat or swimmer or something like that in the water that's going to cause you to have to go around. And that's okay. We navigate those things as we come up. But in the process, you're not thinking this or that with regards to the target. You just have your clear target. And this becomes where you are going in your life. And what we want to start to do now is to consciously have that target, have that clear focus of where we want to go. And again, the challenge with this is, again, what I was doing for so long is I wasn't aware of what I was focusing on. I wasn't aware that I was focusing on being a couch potato. I wasn't aware that I was focusing on being stressed out, anxious, depressed, low self-esteem. And I had all these crazy thoughts that were going on that were supporting this one target of overweight, lethargic, low self-esteem couch potato. And so the first step in all of this, the first step to focusing, what you focus on, you become, is that we have to be aware of what it is that we are focusing on. You can't, if you're in the boat and you're driving, you don't know where you're going if you don't have that target up on the horizon. Otherwise, you're just kind of going anywhere. It's similar if you get in your car and you're going to drive somewhere. You don't just randomly drive around. Unfortunately, that's what a lot of us are doing in the world today. We get in our car and we drive around not knowing where we're going. And this is the same with our life. We don't have that focus, so we're driving around not knowing where we're going. And the first thing we have to do is to bring everything back in, to reel it back in, and say, what am I focusing on right now? And a trick that I've learned how to become aware of what we're focusing on is something I call reverse engineering. Reverse engineering. What do I mean by reverse engineering? Anytime that our mind is focused on something, it creates a feeling inside of us. Okay? That feeling could be joy. That feeling could be peace. That feeling could be a low energy, anxiety is another one. It could be a feeling of frustration. Whatever that feeling is a result of what our mind is focused on. And again, our mind is focused on something, we just may not be aware of it. And we also may be unaware of those supporting thoughts that are coming in that are backing up that thing that we are focused on. So a reverse engineering technique is to take this idea of how am I feeling? How am I feeling right now? Okay? What am I feeling right now? Because whatever you're feeling right now, chances are that's what you're focused on. And a great question then to ask yourself to start to understand this principle and how you use this principle, again, what you focus on, you become, is to ask yourself a question. Okay, I'm feeling depressed. Just to give you an example, or in my case, let me use one from my life. I'm feeling low self-worth, okay? You're gonna feel this. There's gonna be a biofeedback within you. And you can ask yourself this question, what am I focused on, or what am I thinking that's causing me to feel this way that I feel right now? So again, in my case, in my example, it's what am I focused on, or what am I thinking about that's causing me to feel low self-worth? And so the way we start to understand this is a reverse engineering process. We ask ourselves, well, how am I feeling right now? And we reverse engineer to say, well, what is the focus I'm having, or what is the thought I'm having that's causing me to feel this way? I'll give you another classic example from my life. So we all have challenges. Like I said at the beginning, I'm just a regular guy. And I like to say, living this awesome, amazing life right now. I get to be here today speaking with all of you. I get to be speaking with all of you online. Again, thank you, everybody, for being here. But this would not have been possible if I didn't understand this principle I'm talking about today. Because for the longest time, I suffered debilitating, oh my gosh, low self-esteem and low self-worth. And finally, when I started to understand this principle, I asked myself, well, what is the thought that I'm having that's causing me to feel this low self-worth? And I remember I was washing my dishes one day, and all of a sudden the answer to that question came. Remember, there's something out there in the world that says, ask and you shall receive. Well, ask the question, and at some point you shall receive an answer. And so I asked that question, well, what am I focusing on that's causing me to have this low self-esteem? And when the answer came to me, it blew me away. I did not know this. Again, some of these things get buried in our subconscious, causing us to focus on things that we're not aware of. So the answer that came to me was that I'm not worthy. I'm no good. And that just hit me like a ton of bricks. And then I had to take that thought, and I had to massage it a little bit, and I had to ask myself, is that really true? And it was definitely an eye-opener for me. So you can take your thought that you're having that is causing you to feel a certain way, that's your focus, and you can ask yourself that next question, is that really true? And I looked at my life up to that point, everything I had done. I had already traveled, I think, 15 countries. I had done hundreds of hours of volunteer work at this point, coaching youth sports, college degree, all of this stuff, a full-time secure job, a place to live, a car, all of that stuff. And I had to get real with myself. And I said, you know what, that's not true. And then in that moment, just to kind of skip ahead here, I realized that what is true is that I am worthy. And when I realized that in a moment, my self-esteem immediately went from here up to here. Now, it's up here now because I've done a lot more work. And I started to understand this principle. And in that moment, I also started to think, well, how do I want to feel? So that's a question that you have to ask yourself moving forward in your life with this principle, is how do you want to feel? What is it that you want for your life? What is it that you want your life to be about? And the answers to those questions become your target. That becomes the cell tower on the hill that you're aiming the boat for. Whatever answers that you have to these questions is what you focus on. And you're going to see now, from a more aware level, that your life is going to start to unfold and shape around these things. So back on that day when I was sitting on my couch and my dog wouldn't come over to me, jumping ahead a couple years later when I had that thought, I'm not worthy, to all of a sudden that's not true, that I am worthy, my life started to really change. Because then I asked myself, well, what do I want? Those questions that I just asked you, how do I want to feel? And I started to put all my efforts and all my energy into that right there, focusing on what I wanted my life to be about. And I wanted my life to be about being healthy. And so what happened is I lost 50 pounds. I became a triathlete. And I became a health coach. Okay? How did I want to feel? I wanted to feel more passion. And I wanted to feel more joy. And so how did I do this? I started focusing on these feelings. And I realized along the way that in order to feel these feelings, I had to understand who I was. And that's another question, who am I, who are you, that we'll get into another topic for another time. But let me read you a quote very quickly from Wayne Dyer here. He kind of sums this up very nicely, this point I'm making, that what you focus on, you become. This is a great quote from Wayne Dyer. He says, the more you see yourself as what you'd like to become, and act, this is the key part, and act as if what you want is already there, the more you will activate those dormant forces that will collaborate to transform your dream into your reality. And so this begins to shape this idea, okay? What you focus on, you become. The key is we have to be aware of what it is we're focusing on. We can do that by tapping into how we are feeling. Okay? We have to have an understanding of this question. What do you want? What do you want your life to be about? And how is it that you do want to feel? And I'm going to get into a great principle here about how can we start to harness this power? How can we start to harness this power of the mind? And like I said, this power of focus. Because once we learn what our target is, once we learn what it is that we're aiming for, what is that cell tower on the horizon is, okay, then we get to do something very neat also. We get to start to build ourselves up. Okay? You've all heard of positive thinking before, probably, right? Positive thinking. But there's something else that I like to call supportive thinking. Supportive thinking are all these thinkings, these ideas that go into becoming what your target is, that go into having what your target is, that go into reaching what your target is. So if my target is healthy, okay, that's on my bullseye, that's on my horizon out there, I have to have these supportive thoughts to that target. So a supportive thought that I came up with, this was a long time ago, to support this focus of being healthy, is I am a lean, mean health and wellness machine. Okay, these are affirmations. I am a lean, mean health and wellness machine. This is a supportive thought that goes towards that target. But again, first I had to have an understanding what my target is. Okay? And so again, where do you want to go in your life? What do you want? Who do you want to be? What do you want your life to be about? These are all questions we start asking ourselves that you can ask yourself to help you gain clarity on this, to help you narrow that target, to help you begin to set your target. Because again, it's not our thinking that we want to be the priority here. We want our focus to be the priority, okay? And then we want our thoughts to come in behind our focus to support this. When I was a triathlete, okay, and I'm trying to, get over that top of the hill or the bike or whatever, I had this focus that I am a triathlete, okay, but going up that hill, I always told myself, I got this, I got this. So again, another supportive thought that supports that focus of where you are going. So for example, if you pick, let me just use a common example, this idea of having a romantic partner, a romantic relationship. Now some of you, I get, you already have one, and there's a lot of you at home that probably already have one, and then some of you may be single, something like that. But a lot of people want this idea of being in a relationship, a romantic partner. So that becomes your focus, okay? This romantic, intimate, happy, healthy relationship, and you can put some adjectives to describe that. And so now, what are some supportive thoughts that you can have in your life that could help you reach that target? And I'm just going to kind of hypothetically come up with some. I am an effective communicator. I am, if you're a man, I am a romanticizer, something like that. I am, again, if you're a man, I am a provider. And perhaps if you're a woman, I am a nurturer or something like that. But again, the point is having these supportive thoughts to get you to where you want to go, that target on the horizon, which is your focus. And so now we've come back to the question, well, again, how do you learn to harness this power of the mind, this incredible computer, this awesome, powerful machine? And again, there's a technique I like to call, and it's actually funny, it's based on the TV show Seinfeld. Have any of you ever seen the TV show Seinfeld? At home, maybe some of you have seen that TV show Seinfeld. There's this great episode, I remember it. George is sitting at the diner with Jerry. And George is sitting at the table there, and he's kind of complaining, Jerry, nothing in my life is working. And you know what? Starting today, I'm going to do the opposite. And Jerry goes, the opposite? That's a good idea. What would that look like in your life? And this is what it looked like for George. And he started out, he said, I normally order a tuna sandwich. Today I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to order a chicken sandwich. And so he got a chicken sandwich. And then in that same diner where they always used to eat, George looks across and he sees that the bar stool there's a woman there. And he looks at that and he says, you know what, Jerry? The old George, he called it, would never go up and talk to that woman. I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to go up and talk to that woman. And so he does the opposite. He goes up and he talks to her, and it works. He actually winds up getting her phone number, and they wind up getting a date and all of that. So it became this idea of do the opposite. And so that's what I call this principle now, to support what you focus on, you become, is this idea of being the opposite. What I mean by that? So again, we go back to this idea of reverse engineering. I have this feeling inside of me, and I'm going to use a common one, okay? This idea of depression. Okay, I feel depressed. Or anxious, that's another one. I feel anxious, I feel a lot of anxiety within me. Okay? We feel that, unbeknownst to us, that's what our brain has been focused on. Now, to get our brains to shift to something that does work for that, we ask, what is the opposite? So what is the opposite of depression? For me, and you can come up with your own answer, but the opposite of depression is thriving. And now your brain shifts from here to here. We've changed your target. We've changed your cell tower on the horizon. Okay? Now there's other stuff that would have to happen, again, the supporting thoughts, but the first thing that we've done is we've shifted your focus from here to here by thinking of the opposite. Let's look at anxiety. Oh, I'm anxious. I'm feeling anxious. So somehow there's something, even subconsciously perhaps, that my brain is focusing on with regards to anxiety. And remember, what we focus on, we become. What I focused on for all those years was everything I didn't want. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, things like depression and anxiety, even low self-worth, did not work for my life. And I love always, as Dr. Phil says, you can't change what you don't acknowledge. So you first have to recognize this feeling, and yeah, you can ask yourself, is this working for you? And then the way you begin to shift out of that in your life is this, I should call it the George Costanza principle, is that you be the opposite. So the opposite of depression is thriving. The opposite of anxiety is calm or peaceful, as I like to say. I have some other examples here I want to share with you very quickly. Okay, here's a common one. Financially broke. I can't afford it. I don't have a lot of money. Okay, I'm feeling this feeling inside that I feel broke, that I can't afford it, that I don't have money. Unbeknownst to me, probably that's where my brain is focused. But is that working? That's the question. Most likely, I'm going to guess no. And so again, applying this principle, be the opposite. What's the opposite of broke? It's financially abundant. So now again, we shift our mind from broke to being financially abundant. Now a key word I just said there was being. I'm going to get to that word in a minute. Another example, oh, I don't have time. I have no free time. What's the opposite of no free time? Is lots of free time. I'm being free time. I'm having free time. So again, it's this opposite. George Costanza principle. Not what we don't want in our life, but what we do want. Everything we want to be, everything we want to do, everything we want to have. We do the opposite. We be the opposite. It's the George Costanza. It works. Just like he was able to get the phone number that day. I should try that myself one of these times. It also takes courage, I should mention for that real quickly. Here's another example. Stress. Somehow, unbeknownst to me, again, my mind is focusing on all of these things in my world that is causing me to be stressful. Well, what is the opposite of stress? For me, I'm going to say it's joy. Okay? So we focus on this idea of being joyful. And now we start to develop all these supporting thoughts that come into this. Oh, I am a joyful person. I am financially abundant. The I am, these are the two magic words that kind of spark the universe, I guess, to start to line up the stars to work for you, to bring you the life that you want. Because again, ultimately, at the end of the day, what's this all about? Why are we here? It's so that me, so that you, so that all of us can interact together. We're all connected, the circle of life, so that we can interact and have that best life possible. And so a little trick I've learned with applying this idea of do the opposite, be the opposite, is to focus on the beingness, who you are being. Okay? I'm being a joyful person. Okay, I've got depression going on in my life. I've got low self-worth going on in my life. I first recognize that by the feeling and just know that something in my brain, this superpower computer, is programming itself to have this focus, which is causing me to be depressed or anxious. I do the opposite. I be the opposite. I ask myself, what is the opposite of depression? Thriving. What is the opposite of financially broke? Is financially abundant. What is the opposite of stress? Is joy. Now, who am I being in relation to this? I am being a person that is thriving. I am being a joyful person. I am being a financially abundant person. Again, there's those two magic words. I am. Okay? And so who are you being? This is how we get this principle to work for us. What you focus on, you become. Who are you being in relationship to what you are focusing on? Another very simple example, new car. Everybody wants a new car, right? Or even a new house. This is kind of the wealth and material abundance part of our life. You focus on having a new car, and you can get specific, exactly the kind of car, the location, the state, all of that, or even country in my case. You can get specific, focusing on the color, or if it's house, same thing, size, all of that. But what you focus on, you become. Okay? Who you are being in regards to what you are focusing on is what helps you bring this into your life. It's what helps you attract or manifest this into your life. So let's, again, the new car. I am being a new car owner. I am a new car owner. Again, those two magic words. Now I stay focused on this. I keep my intention, my focus on all of this, that target. Now, here's another little trick to this, okay? What you focus on, you become. We do the opposite. We be the opposite. We focus on who we are being. I am being a joyful person. And here's a little trick to this trait also. I kind of learned this the hard way. So part of why I'm here today is to help all of you watching right now, listening here, is to learn the easy way. Not pull out half of my hair I lost because I was doing this the hard way. I want you all to do this the easy way. What you focus on, you become. But where does that focus come from? This becomes really critical. This becomes super important. This becomes hyper important. Where that focus comes from. So what you're focusing. So that target that I have on the horizon, that cell tower, for example, I'm driving the boat there. Where did that cell tower come from? Okay, that target that you have in your life, where did it come from? And this is key. It must come from your heart, your desire. Okay? It cannot come from your thinking mind. This is another topic I'll do another time, but we are not our thoughts. We are not our thinking mind. We are our focus. That's why it's so important we understand this, because again, what we focus on, we become. But that focus has to come from within. This is how we get life to work for us. You want the same thing. I want the same thing. We all want to live the best life. Make sure my mic is still there. Okay? What you focus on, you become to get to that optimal life. Okay? Anything that comes from here is rooted in heart, is rooted in passion. Anything that comes from a thought, a thinking mind, okay, without that feeling of joy, without that feeling of passion, is rooted in fear, is rooted in ego. And so when we're driving that boat towards that cell phone on the cliff over there, a couple thousand yards away or whatever, we want to be driving that boat from a place of love, knowing that that cell tower, that focus, that target that we have speaks to what's in our heart, who we are. Okay? That's where the passion comes from. That's where the joy comes from. If we're headed towards that target in our life, that cell tower, we don't feel that joy, we don't feel that passion, that's because you've chosen a target based on your thinking, not your feeling. And so it's critical that we have that feeling, okay? And this is where the beingness, again, comes into all of this. So when you're focusing on what you focus on, you become, okay? It's really important who you are being, and that beingness has to resonate from a place of love, which can only come from your heart, okay? That can't come from ego or fear. Again, that will be another talk I do another time. But I want to read you one more thing. Okay. Again, yes. As Shakespeare says, I like to say this, to be or not to be. That is the question. That is the only question, really, that you have to ask yourself. Who am I being with regards to my focus? Am I being a new car owner? Am I being a new homeowner? Am I being a soulmate? If you want to attract a soulmate, you have to be a soulmate. So your focus is on being a soulmate. And then you develop all the supporting thinking that goes into being a soulmate. Oh, I am a good communicator. I am a romanticizer. I am a nurturer. Whatever those thoughts are that support your focus. Because again, it's what we focus on. That's the whole point of this talk today. What we focus on is what matters. Matters more than our thoughts, matters more than our thinking. That's just a bunch of chatter going on up here, our thoughts and our thinking. Okay? But those thoughts and our thinking are causing us to focus on something. So we want to reverse engineer this, because how are we feeling? What are the thoughts we're having that are causing us to feel this? And what is it that we do want to feel? What is it that I do want for my life? Okay? So how you get from where you are in your life to where you want to be in your life? How you go from depressed, anxious, low self-worth like me to the opposite, thriving, financially abundant, joyful, peaceful, is to focus on all that. Because I want to read this quote. This is how you become what you want in your life. By focusing on who and what you want to be. Now, I'll do another talk that states how you maintain this, because of course it's easy to focus for a moment or two, but how do we focus consistently on what we want all the time? Well, the very quick answer, it takes training, it takes practice, it takes repetition. The first time, if you've ever been golfing, that you swung a golf club, you probably didn't do it very well. But if you practiced hour after hour every day, like a professional golfer, Rory McDonald, for example, you get really good. So when you practice, always practice focusing on that thing that you want. After a while, you get really good at it. And after a while, you get really good at recognizing, oh, I'm focusing on what I don't want in my life right now. I'm focusing on how I don't want to feel right now. And then you immediately apply the opposite, George Costanza, be the opposite. And then you can start to focus on exactly what it is you want. And the more you practice, the more you get. That's the basis of this principle. And I know your time is short and precious, so I want to respect your time. So I want to start to wrap this up. But a couple other things I want to leave you with, okay? One of the big take-homes of today is that we have this powerful, beyond powerful computer. Something more powerful than current humans could engineer artificially. And of course, that is our mind. Okay? And how we direct our focus with our mind, first and foremost, is much more important than our thinking, than our thoughts. And again, what you focus on, you become. Okay? Dale Carnegie had this great quote about success. We've all probably asked from time to time, what is the definition of success? And Dale Carnegie had this great quote about success. Success is getting what you want. I love that. Because we all want what it is we want in our life, right? We want the peace, we want the joy. But again, we also want some of the abundance, the house, the car, the spouse, the love partner, however that looks for you in your life. And when we recognize this principle, what you focus on, you become, and we start to focus on everything that we do want, that's when all of this stuff starts to, I don't want to use the word magically, but it almost is magic. That's when all this starts to magically come into our lives. It's very spectacular. And here's a really neat part of this. The bigger you expand your focus, the greater you expand your focus, the greater and bigger your life becomes. So how big can your focus be? Is your focus like the size of a parking lot? Or is your focus the size of a football stadium? Or is your focus the size of the entire city, or the entire state, or the entire country, or the entire planet? The bigger your focus, the bigger your life. The greater your focus, the greater your life. Okay? And so again, one more detail I want to read you. The more we focus, the more you focus on what you want for your life, exactly what you want, the more that you get out of your life. So the final take-home message, be aware of what you're focusing on and do the opposite. Focus on exactly what you want your life to be about, exactly what you want to have. The greater your focus, and allow your focus to just be as big as you want. The greater the quality of your life, the greater the quantity of your life. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, again, I want the best life. And you all want the best life. I know that. And at the end of the day, the quality of our lives is based on the quality of our focus. And so my take-home message is focus on what you want. Focus on who you want to be. Focus on exactly what you want your life to be about. Everything you want to be in your life. Everything you want to do in your life. Everything you want to have in your life. Because what you focus on, you become. What you focus on, you become. And that's how you live your optimal life. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. I super appreciate it. If you have questions here in the audience, I'll get to those in just a moment. If you have questions at home, online, I apologize. I will get to those here shortly. It's just a one-man show today, so I don't have the ability to operate the camera and do that at the same time. But thank you for being here. If anybody has any questions, if you have any questions at home, feel free to send me a DM message. I'm real easy to get a hold of. If you think this was helpful, feel free to share it. I'd welcome any comments, any feedback. I'll do my best to address all of that. Thanks so much for being here, everyone. Take care. Have a great day. Live with joy. Be well, be safe, be happy, eat ice cream.